Fire, fury.
Welcome to Fuel Your Drive. I'm your host, Josh Short. Guys, we have a really great episode today. Today's guest is not only a good friend, but we're also in the same industry. We're in the franchise industry. A lot of people think that the franchise industry is huge, and it is, but everyone knows each other. Our guest today, he is a business builder, okay? He's been on Undercover Boss. He runs a lot of very successful companies. He's had some successful exits. He's a former college football player. And the most important one is he's a certified stud. Yes, he's a certified stud, right? We have shared many CEO roundtables at franchise events. And this man is not only a great guy, but he's very smart. And I'm very excited to have him share some great insights and really drop some major nuggets for each and every one of you listening to this to grow and develop even more, because that's how you're going to get better each day. Guys, please welcome my good friend, Jeff Dudan. Jeff, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Josh. Excited to be here. I've been trying to get on the show for years, man. So today's a big day for me.
Oh, well, listen, I'm really happy to have you. And a lot of people are going to hear this, so it's going to be fantastic. So first, let's kind of like, I don't want to go, I don't want to steal all your thunder. I want to give you, some time to kind of talk a little bit about your background, the companies you've been involved with. What you've done has been great. And let's start with that. And then I want to kind of talk, because every episode, usually on podcasts, people talk about what people have done, and that's all great. But I want to get down to the dirt, because people don't understand. I keep trying to deliver this message to everyone. There is a price to pay to get to the other side. And people don't understand that you have winning seasons, you have losing seasons, and life's like a roller coaster. So that's really what I want to focus on. But let's first give everybody like a little overview of you and your background.
Right. Well, hey, no problem. So real quick, man, I'm a Chicago guy. I was a basketball player, and I came to football late in my career. So I decided I wanted to chase that. So chased the ball up to University of Northern Iowa. Then I dropped back to a JUCO in Chicago, and I got a football scholarship out to App State. So Chicago guy showing up, culture shocking to the top of a mountain in Boone, North Carolina. It took a while for the town to adjust, but we made amends with it, and ended up being a great experience. So I started in business, doing a painting business, winning all the contracts for student housing apartments. From there, took a flyer and went down to South Florida after Hurricane Andrew in '92, cut my teeth in the restoration business, started a company with 3 partners in '94 in Central Florida, doing insurance restoration, government contracting. And then we grew that to a large national business, and then ultimately franchised it in 2009. And we hit it just right. It was after the great financial crisis. There was a lot of people that were out of work looking for things to do. We were recession resistant, needs based, third party payer business, and we really took off. So 15 years of preparation to have some luck, and we ended up selling the business in 2019. We had 240 locations in 37 states. So along the way, much like yourself, I know that you're generous with your time, and that you have a passion for helping entrepreneurs, as I do. My purpose, I exist to serve by encouraging entrepreneurs, and really feel compelled to do anything that I can do to help people make a life for themselves, and in doing that, rebuild the middle class, because we really need a strong middle class in this country, and entrepreneurship is one of the ways that people can buy a house, put their kids through college, man, have a great life. So that's my role. So after selling the business, I'd gotten involved with, along the way, helping other franchisors grow their business. So today, I'm part of a platform in the health and wellness industry that includes Rockbox Fitness, and also includes Beam Light Sauna, which is an infrared sauna concept. And then also have a bunch of property service companies under the brands Homefront brands, where we do property service businesses. So that's what I'm doing on the franchise side now. And then, helping out anywhere I can, anywhere that I'm asked.
Fantastic. It's great. That's great. And sauna business is a great business, man. I love a sauna. I use my sauna, multiple times a week. So I love it.
You have an infrared?
I do. Infrared. Yep.
Oh man, they're great.
I love cooking in that thing. I go right from my sauna right into my 27-degree ice bath. I've been doing that. Oh my God. Well, I've been doing the ice baths since I'm probably 18, but I never actually have had, the sauna. And now I have a sauna in my home, but I used to have the sauna at a location I would go to, and then I'd go home. So it wasn't really like the full real effect, but you should think about adding those ice baths into the concept. It's great and very beneficial.
Yeah. So I go right from the sauna into my recliner. So we're different there.
So listen, you said something that I took note of because it's very important. You said 15 years of preparation. Let's talk about that because people don't understand, and I've been getting lots of messages on Instagram and LinkedIn, people, hey, I tried this for 6 months. It's not working, and then you have the people say, oh, I tried this for a month. It's not working. Like, let's talk about what that preparation looks like, how challenging it gets. Because I don't think there's really a secret to success. My thought is you just don't quit. That's it. You just don't quit. You got to obviously make sure you're being strategic and aligning with the right people and all those other things. But let's talk about that. 15 years of preparation.
Yeah. So, I had this saying, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think most entrepreneurs are screwed into existence and by circumstances. And I think as entrepreneurs, we feel like the path is in front of us and we really don't have another choice. And for me, it was kind of like that. I mean, I started the painting business because I needed money. I mean, I just literally needed money to live. And I'm like, I got food service opportunities here, but that's not going to be enough to meet my needs during the summer. So, and then from there, it was like, well, I really just had that entrepreneurial bug, but I needed money. Right. And so I had to, there was nothing going on where we were up in Boone. So we had to chase it down there. And I can tell you that at least a dozen times during the 15 years, I felt like there was a good chance that we could go out of business. Something would happen on a receivable or, and then when I actually bought my last partner out in 2004, we had no franchises. We had a franchise company. We had franchised to ourselves, but we didn't have any franchisees. And I was, the day that I bought out my last partner, I was $4 million in debt. And I don't even know that we had that much revenue over that year. It was, but you have to be committed to the outcome, and there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. And, but if you're not living on the edge, man, you're just taking up space. And, all the great things happen out on the edge, man, in the rarefied air where the air is thin and, people are taking chances. I think that, people want freedom, especially today. You talk about this great resignation, but I think it's a great liberation because people have got a taste of what it's like to have a little bit more time and a little bit more control over what happens to you. And that's something that we all need to be happy, man. We've got to have control over what happens to us. Negative progress is one of the biggest dissatisfiers. So we all want to be making progress in life. And we want to do something that we feel is significant for us and that we're better off next year than we were last year. And I mean, when I started, I didn't have a grand vision. I just knew that I wanted to build something. I wanted to be control of my own destiny. I wanted to help other people with whatever it is I had learned. And that's a passion for me. I coached over 30 of my kids' sports teams while I was building the franchise business. And, I really think that was, for me, the two things were the same, right? How do you communicate? How do you create a plan that's clear that people can understand? And how do you bring energy and then create a situation where people can win? So, but yeah, I mean, it's a struggle. It's been a struggle. And then, after I sold the company, I thought, well, I'm going to take an investor's posture and, I'm going to take it a little bit easy. And here's what I found out. That's a recipe for disaster. Yep. Like you've got to strap it up every day. It doesn't matter where you are in your business. If it's your first job or your first opportunity or the first business you're starting, or, if it's something further down in your career, man, if you phone it in, people will eat your lunch.
So true. It's so true. You just gave away so many nuggets in that. I really hope everyone takes a second and rewind everything Jeff just said, because it's really true. First of all, playing it safe, you're never going to get anywhere. Playing it safe is a horrible thing. Taking on debt is a wonderful thing. People say, why do you say that, Joshua? You will never grow unless you take on debt. And obviously every scenario is going to be very different, but people also don't understand. And I try to explain this, like, if you're profitable and you're making money, you're paying taxes, right? If you're losing money, you're not paying, but you're able to actually build your business. Like, people have to look at the full picture and understand what it takes. Any successful entrepreneur and anyone has been in severe debt. I will tell you that right now. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and sometimes getting into partnerships, depending, like I know you said you bought out your partner. sometimes people say the worst kind of ship you could be on is a partnership. So you got to make sure that, when you are getting in partnerships, you're aligning with the right people and you have the same beliefs and values. But, let's touch on, so you talk about this debt, right? Going through that process, because I get this question often too. So it's a great kind of segue here. Like, because I know I've always been nervous, but every time I get scared, and no one ever knows because I'm the best actor, I'm the best poker player, I don't even play poker. And that's a very important trait as a leader. You can never let your team feel your true emotions. But were you scared too? Because when I get scared and I have like that fear, I always like know, like my intuition always says it's giving me like the direction, like this is the right way. Like, I feel like when you're scared and you have fear, you got to keep going in that way. Like, just like you made the comment about you felt like you were going out of business, but you didn't quit, right? You believed in yourself. You didn't quit. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Josh, great entrepreneurs are always paranoid. I don't care, because there's always somebody coming, and the wolves are always at the door. There's always a risk. Managing risk is something that we constantly do as entrepreneurs. What's the upside? Where are we going? What's the vision? How are we going to get there? And then, okay, what could possibly go wrong? So, and when I really, I've grown a lot. I think, we all grow as we get older. But, one thing I learned about fear. So, why people are worried about speaking in front of people? They get scared. It's because of the eyes. Yeah. So, back in the day when everybody was looking at you and their eyes were looking at you, then that means you're outside the group. You're getting ready to get eaten, stoned, sticked. Something bad is going to happen to you. So when you get fearful and you get that fight or flight mechanism, it can happen when you open up the wrong email and it's a threat to your business, or you stand up in front of a room of people, or, and one thing that I learned is, look, nothing is fatal. Like, very few, some things in life are fatal, but in business, very few things in life are fatal. So, once you learn to just calm down, there's a great quote that I share, and it's the person who can most accurately describe reality without laying blame shall emerge as the leader. So often what happens, it's like, how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with pressure? One thing I've learned to do is, number one, realize that nothing is fatal, and that I do not need to be fearful of things that cannot eat me or kill me. Number one. And then number two, if I don't understand what's going on, then I just describe reality for what it is. This is the situation. I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming me. I'm not blaming anybody, but let's describe the situation, because that's where we can start working towards a solution. The quicker that you can, one of the things about entrepreneurs that I've observed is their ability to bounce and shift quickly between different modalities, right? You're dealing with this person here and you're coaching them. Next thing you know, you've got an issue with accounts receivable or accounts payable. Now you can shift to that. The only way that you can shift to that is if you don't have the emotional baggage, is you shift between modality to modality inside of your business. Because honestly, leaders have a very short list of highly important things that you need to do. Number one, leaders need to bring energy. So if you burn your energy being paranoid, upset, burned out, or scared, then you can't be the leader that you need to be for the people that are in your business and sitting right in front of you that need you, right? Leaders need to provide clarity, absolute clarity about what the future is. There's a great book by Lencioni called The 4 Obsessions of an Extraordinary CEO. And every single one of the 4 obsessions has the word clarity in it. People hesitate. What looks like hesitation, what looks like indifference or even insubordination is most often just a lack of clarity. I wasn't sure what to do, so I hesitated inside of that. And so bringing energy, because your people are only going to be a subset of the energy that you bring, creating clarity so that people don't hesitate and they know what to do, and their interests are aligned with the company's interests. And, and then the third thing is somebody has to speak a bold and powerful future into existence with absolute clarity as to what it looks like. And I tell a story in training about a guy that worked for me in 1995, man. And, he had come in, he had been doing all of our jobs and bringing the checks back and doing all that. We were in kind of a construction type business. And he said, Jeff, I drink your coffee every day. I do the jobs. I bring the checks. Maybe I should have a job here. And I said, well, why don't you sit down, Ray, and let's talk about it. And to hear him tell it in 1995, which was 14 years before we took our franchise to market, I described for the next 4 hours everything that we were going to do, and how we were going to build a national company, and we were going to be a franchise, and we were going to do this. Now, did I think it was going to take me 14 years to get to market? No, but I wasn't that good apparently. But you have to beat that drum constantly, speaking a bold and powerful future with clarity, with energy into existence, so that people can follow. And some people will fall off the bus along the way, and other people are going to row to the end. And after we sold the business, man, we went out and had dinner. There was 9 people that had been there 20 years.
Wow.
And we closed the restaurant down. They left the keys. They parked our cars out front, and man, we told stories from the very beginning. So yeah, that's, and those are the people that bought into that bold and powerful future and helped shape it along the way.
So it's so true. You're like giving me memories when I was sitting in my parents' dining room. I'll never forget, I was interviewing a trainer one day, and it took me almost, like Jeff, it took me almost about 45, 46 trainers before I found one that stayed with me longer than a month. Everyone was quitting left and right, and I was telling people, we're going to be worldwide. We're going to change so many people's lives. We're going to be all over the place. And, there goes my dad. He's walking in his underwear. Like, imagine how professional that is, right? But at the time, I was working out of my parents' dining room, and I didn't even have money to like literally rent out a hotel room. But you got to be clear. Clarity is definitely the key. You got to have that vision, and that's awesome. I would have loved to have been sitting there in that restaurant hearing some of those stories. I'm sure there were some great stories.
Yeah, our spouses were turning to us and saying, "How did this company possibly even survive?" Like, it just we just saw it through, right?
So let's talk a little bit about leadership, because I remember in many scenarios, like, so I used to really suffer from anxiety. Like, I don't know if you ever really did, but I used to have severe anxiety issues when I first started my business. Like, if I even had to talk to a trainer, like, I would literally throw up before I would have a conversation. Like, I literally couldn't breathe. Like, I just don't know why I used to get like that. Obviously, I've trained myself over the years, and it doesn't affect me anymore. But what would be your advice to someone wants to start a new business? Because what I see also, and this was also my scenario, was I was young, right? A lot of people didn't take me seriously, and that was another problem. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who is looking to be a leader, or someone who's young and up and coming, and maybe they're in their early 20s, and they have some people working for them who might be in their 30s or 40s, and look at this one, like, how is that going to work? What does that look like? What do you think?
I have 2, maybe 3 recommendations. So the first is, man, you got to work on yourself. And, the fundamental, your leadership capacity is going to determine to a large extent, the scale of your business and the speed of your business, and the quality of your decisions is going to determine the quality of your life, and to an extent, the velocity of your business. Right. So you've got to start working on you. So let's talk about number 1, purpose. There's a great book by Kevin McCarthy called The On Purpose Person. And it was gifted to me by one of my mentors years ago. And basically it's like a fable, and you run through this little tennis tournament and you come up with a purpose statement for your life. And you break your life down into 8 different categories, and then you run things off in tournament. I mean, it's probably a $10 book, but man, it might be the best $10 people would ever spend in their life. To really determine what their purpose is, and aligning the graphic in the book is a light switch. So if the light switch is off, you're off purpose. If the light switch is on, you're on purpose, right? And the more time that you spend aligned with your purpose, the more productive, the more lit up you're going to be. So if I exist to serve by encouraging entrepreneurs, and, right now what I'm doing is on purpose for me, because there might be, I don't know how many people listen to this, but a lot of people listen to it. I know that it has a huge audience, but if there's 3 or 4 or 5 people that take something away that fills a block or a gap for them, that encourages them, then I've spent my time well today, and I'm comfortable because I'm living inside of my purpose. Second thing is, you got to understand how you roll. And by doing that, so, we build values forward businesses. Like, we spend a lot of time saying, what is it that really matters to us? Your true values in life are what you tolerate. And, so you can say, we're the punctual plumber, man, but if you're late all the time, then that is not your value. On time is not your value. So, building values forward companies. And then with my family, I've got 3 children and a wife, and, we had a set of family values, and it was like, live fun, be humble, respect others, trust yourself to take chances, fail fast and move forward, be a servant leader. I mean, those were up on our refrigerator for years and years and years. And you don't think that your kids are paying attention to it. But when it was time to do the Undercover Boss, I mean, we were, we lived humble, like nobody. We practiced football in this. We have a 5-acre campus, 22,000 square foot building where we ran the business, and we practiced football in the side yard. I striped off a whole football field, and that's where we held our practices. Nobody even knew I owned the business, right? So when we had the opportunity to do Undercover Boss, I'm like, guys, this is going to materially, there's going to be people that look at you differently at school when this plays to 7 million people on Thursday night or whenever it was. And but we looked at our family values and we said, look, trust yourself to take chances, fail fast and move forward. So we felt like if we're going to truly live our values, then we have to take advantage of that opportunity, and we had to go do it. And it ended up being a great experience and a great show. And it really is something that we were able to build on. So, understanding your purpose and putting time into like who you are and what matters. Because when you're on the airplane and the masks fall down, you got to help yourself before you can help other people. And then, really working on like, and your personal values can actually they need to be close if you're the authentic leader of a business. But if you look at Zappos, I mean, they have this set of 9 weird values that power their business. And it's, so a business's values have to be aligned with, the customers that they serve and the promises that they make to the marketplace. So your personal values don't have to be 100% aligned with your business values, but each of them has to be right for you, and they have to be right for the business and something that people can buy into. Because I've learned in life that, people are okay as long as they know where they stand. And so when we started this, a discovery day and franchising, I mean, we really have 2 questions that we ask them. What's the most important thing you came here to find out? And which of our values resonates the most with you and why? Because we want our values to be our contract with our franchisees. That's how decisions get made. That's where the buck stops, and we'll honor them. And if they honor them, then, the relationship equity that we build over time with our franchisees will help us when times are tough. And you started about tough times, right? Because, by the way, man, building in Vaniclean, I made 3 or 4 mistakes that were painful to our franchisees, and they were 100% my fault. But we had also invested in what I call relationship equity, and really pouring into them and having that relationship. And when you make a mistake, and you've got to go hat in hand to the people that it impacted, you got to have some deposits in that relationship equity bank. You've got to be authentic. They got to know that you care and that you believe. And that's more than anything that will help you get through tough times.
Tough times don't last. Strong people do, right? That's what they say.
Yes, sir.
And that's very true. So let's talk about Undercover Boss, because I did watch that episode. I don't really watch much TV, but I did watch that when it did air. And you did a great job. It was an awesome episode, super inspiring. Was it difficult filming that? Like, what was that like? Did people know who you were, or maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about that. That's all.
Yeah, I think my confidentiality ran up now, but it's I don't want to do anything that will impact them from doing future shows. But what there was. We put 5 episodes in the can, and one of them didn't air, which was one that I did get caught. I did get busted once by a guy, but no, it was a great experience. I mean, we were on the road for quite a while, and it's exhausting, and you get a look at a world that is, the television world is a whole different animal. So you get, long days, you put 100 hours of film down to get the 42 minutes that they're going to show, and you have no control over what gets put on the show. So you have to be mindful, and you have to be vigilant about, and you can't lose your cool and say things or try to make some jokes and stuff like that, because I guarantee you it will be on the show. It will, we all like to watch good drama and stuff like that, but I felt like our franchisees were bought into our values. Our values were still our community, accountability, respect, excellence, and servant's heart. Because when your house floods or burns, you got to have people that show up with empathy, and that really, are going to care about the people, not just say, well, I'm just doing an estimate. I don't care that your dog died in the fire, or whatever it is. And we had a national partnership with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, where our franchisees would go out and do work for free for children that went home and had an issue in their home, because the families get really stretched when you're struggling for a couple of years and living out of town and all that. So like that's what mattered to our franchisees. So I knew that, the overwhelming majority of our franchisees did their very best and were values forward companies. And, Advanaclean is a great business for people when they need it. Hopefully you don't need it, but when you do need it, you need to have people out there that care about what's going on. So we ended up with the director said, you guys just had to throw away an episode that other shows would kill to have. We really had 5 great segments with 5 great franchise partners.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's funny, your values align very similar with mine. Ours are drive, determination, respect, integrity, versatility, and excellence. And since we're talking about values, like I want everyone to understand, Fuel Your Drive, the name of the podcast. I've said this before, but it's my values and the 4 pillars of success, which I refer to as fun, unity, earnings, and leadership. And I'm sure you're going to agree with this, Jeff. You can't run a business unless you have fun. Culture is everything. Unity, if there's no teamwork, it's never going to work. Earnings, right? Well, if you're not making money, that's not going to work. And leadership. Good leaders will always create other good leaders. And obviously, for me, when I did come up with that concept, fuel your drive, you can't drive without fuel. And that's kind of how I created that. But that's how strong, as Jeff just said, my values are and my pillars of success, that I actually named it the name of my podcast. So take some notes of what Jeff said, because that was very powerful. So last question, Jeff, I like to always ask, and sometimes it throws people off, but you can think for a second. If you were conducting this interview, what question would you have asked?
Oh, wow. What question would I don't know that I'm going to be able to come up with one. I don't know. If I was conducting this interview, what question would I have asked? I think maybe, I don't know, what's next? Or, what I would have asked, I would have said, I would have asked me about my book, Discernment.
There you go. It's funny. I was actually looking at that. Yep. And we were going to touch on it before we ended. So you beat me to it, but let's touch on it. So tell me about your book.
Right. So it's actually my second book. The first book I wrote was called Hey Coach. And I only write books for one reason. That's to if I think that I've worked hard for a decade to figure something out, and I can put it in a book that other people can benefit from it, then that's what I do. So my first book, Hey Coach, was really a fable style, but it's about all the tools and tactics that I learned in coaching kids, a group of 10 to 12-year-olds for 4 months, and how to really have a great experience to where the parents and the players and everybody and the coaches all want to be a part of it again. So that was that. And then, when I got out of Advanaclean, I said, hey, I've got all of these models of thought that I really want to share. So, discernment is really, it really means wisdom and decision making. So if you think about it, the book is a bunch of models of thought. It's a story, but there's really just a bunch of models of thought. And what models of thought are, it's over time, you're faced with a situation, and then you accumulate, a way of dealing with that situation. And that becomes a model of thought. And wisdom is really just an accumulation of different models of thought over time applied to a present day situation. So, usually we think of older people as wise. Well, it's because they have more life experiences, and they've been able to put those into buckets where they can pull those out when they need them and help other people with them. So, discernment is really, it's really just a collection of models of thought. And I really get when people, I didn't promote it. I mean, there's a good number of copies out there, but I get people that reach out to me all the time and say, this is just what I needed. It's really targeted towards people that are starting a business, they're early in their career, and they're like, how do I accumulate? They can take 15 or 20 models of thought that I learned through 25 years of business, and they can incorporate them, and now they can use them. And I had a guy call me for an hour and talk to me about how it impacted, and he's moving his business forward now. He'd been stuck in a business, and he's now moving it forward. And it's really, I'm really encouraged and honored when that happens. A couple things out of the book. nothing's 100% and anything can go to zero. Enron can go to zero. Arthur Andersen can go to zero, and nothing's 100%. So the decisions that you make inside of your business, the big ones and the little ones every day, they increase that probability of success, one way or another. So the quality of decisions determines the quality of your life. It talks about what your decision filters are, your values and other things like that. So how you make decisions. And then different types of equity. I mean, I look at life as kind of a balance sheet, right? So on once it's not you have assets, you liabilities, and you got your equity, right? So what are your personal human assets that you might have? And what are things that are liabilities? What are things that suck your time? I say, track your inputs and control your inputs and track your outputs. I mean, you can drive into work and you can listen to a podcast that's going to help you, or you can listen to something that's going to distract you. And I mean, it just wears you down over time. So it talks about the different types of equities that you can gain. Relationship equity, health equity is something, Josh, that I know is important to you and your business and the people inside of it. Financial equity and what those things mean. And so as we think about the models of thought, really, I believe that I truly believe that our life is an illusion that we create in and of ourselves, and that you can make a different decision today and have a different outcome in a different life within a very short amount of time. I could decide that I no longer want to be the franchise guy of Homefront Brands and that I want to be a fishing guide in Alaska. And it might not happen tomorrow, but I start making decisions to get there, and ultimately that will manifest into itself. So, and if it, unpacking my experiences and helping people understand, giving them these models of thought, something that if you're at the right place in your life, in your business career, these things would be very material for you.
Powerful, man. Powerful stuff, Jeff. Listen, where can people find you? I'm sure more people are going to want to learn more about you after this episode. Where would they go? Instagram, online?
Yep. I am on Instagram. Just put in Jeff Dudan. It's just that simple. LinkedIn is probably the place that I get most reach outs from there. But Instagram, LinkedIn, and direct email would be the best places to get me. Or you can just go to homefrontbrands.com and you can find me through that as well.
As I was going to say, to take action, because you just did something that's pretty powerful. And honestly, most people probably won't even do anything, because that's what happens. That's what most people do. Like, I'll give away secrets of things I do. I know people are just not going to do them. They're not going to take the time to do them. They're not going to put the effort into it. And that's why people never get to the other side of success. But I'll let you know about that. But anyway, look, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was great having you. You dropped some great knowledge. I'm sure you're going to help some people. And is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, just appreciate the opportunity. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on. I've always admired what you've done, Josh. So thank you. And let's look forward to seeing you soon.
That's very kind. And those words mean the world to me coming from you. So guys, until next time, remember, fuel your drive.
Do you know my name? My name is Legend.